All men who have turned out worth anything have had the chief hand in their own education. Walter Scott. Recruitamentary. Empowering your employment. We continue our conversation on with Nathan Knoll.
But when I get people that, when I'm talking about my shop, that I talk to that want to be a part of something bigger than themselves, and you can tell, and it comes through on that, I can't wait to bring them onto the team. And because we're a startup, getting people that, look at that and look at the potential of the opportunity in front of them rather than, hey, I just got to have this dollar amount. If it's all about the money to you, iFuse probably isn't your spot. And a lot of our clients are the same exact way. And I do say that understanding that, listen, at the end of the day, we all do need to feed our families. So it is important. And I would say, over time, we've gotten really good at just kind of navigating that. Let's get it on the table. I'm not going to ask you what you were making before. I'm going to ask you for this opportunity. What is your target? Where do you want to be? Where are you comfortable? Because that in itself, I like to say, most people look at that as the most important thing when taking a job is that finance piece. If I can just take care of that and say, listen, that's going to be good. You fit culturally here. That the money piece is just, we got to get that out of the way. And I don't want to have to worry about it again because I want to work with you personally. That's really, so when I meet people like that, and I would say Erin Stahl, someone that's, joined iFuse, she is just a rock star in every facet. She's been promoted now. She's in charge of our business development, and she came with that attitude, and she just thoroughly impressed me. And she's, done that with everyone that I've put her in front of. From a business standpoint, I get a lot of people coming back, and but it's not just Erin. Melissa Moskalink, who works with us, she was my administrative assistant. She came with the same attitude. Tell me what needs done. I'm not afraid of it. I want to help this thing get off the ground, and it's just been fun to work with people like that.
Yeah, it's awesome. I know Erin quite well myself, and we used to talk. She used to be a rock star. I think she's more of a country rock chick now. But amazingly talented. What's that?
No pun intended, right?
No, absolutely. But amazingly gifted individual. Anybody who I know who is going to be really passionate about their talent and their art like that, and then also trying to support them professionally, I'm totally for that. And she's just very, very great to anybody who I've heard or referred to her or speaking to her myself. So it's just the energy about her is great. And if she is any example, I'm sure that anybody in the organization sort of beams that same radiance of energy. And that's just cool. You got to really appreciate that.
That's right. And when you find a good one, Michael, you do what you can to keep them around.
So, are we talking about wives here? Or are we talking about jobs?
Hey, both of them, right? Happy wife, happy life. That's for sure,
All right. Well, what I do like to usually wrap up our episode with is obviously being in the industry as much as you have been. There's got to be a ton of horror stories. So I usually say, share with us and the listeners, one horror story worth mentioning. And then to end on a good note, an awesome placement story or hiring story or something like that to wrap things up with.
So I don't know if this is a good story to tell everyone, but it's a horror story for sure. And it shows kind of what we did. And I'll try to make it short. But long and short of it is, early in our career at iFuse, I placed a candidate. And you do everything you can to vet these, candidates. And you trust them, as their employer. He was a W-2 employee to us. And he got involved in some things with a client that we had placed him with. And it ended up there was some theft. Okay. But what we did was we made it right. We had to actually track down 22 laptops that were taken from a client. In the end, that candidate actually helped us do it all. So, and we hope that we, were a beacon of light for him. And so it turned out to be pretty good because the client then turned around and said, wow, I can't believe you did that. Most people just say, hey, I'm going to turn that into my insurance company. And we didn't. We went and made it right. We got all of their product. We returned it to them. They are the biggest client of mine, for sure. And it's just really bonded our relationship. So that is a horror story that you probably won't hear from other people, but something we had to go through that we ended up making right.
That's awesome. Well, that's like a combination. It's a horror story and an awesome ending story all in one. So I like that. And it also shows just your flexibility and your willingness in the industry to, step out of the boundaries. As you get bigger, the companies, and I'm not going to name them because there's so many different ones that do the same thing. It's like a typecast. You know what to expect. You know that it's going to be just, a wash as far as for communication. And I was talking to somebody 2 days ago, actually, and they're like, yeah, we do this. Just send over your resume and this. And I'm like, okay, well, what kind of work? I'm basically canvassing, their dialogue. No, yeah, we do all, just send it over and a good time to call. I just, it's a total turnoff because we're not really having a conversation. It's really, you're trying to hit points as far as for goals and metrics. And when it starts bleeding through to be blatantly obvious that's what you're doing, it's just a cringeworthy time. You don't want to do that. I want to make it all, I want to make it a conversation. I want to make it, organic. That's the whole point of doing it. Yes, we have meetings and things like that, but don't make it that obvious, man. That's really, really bad. So,
well, right. And that's one thing I will say, and I know we're trying to wrap this up, but iFuse, metrics are, you got to have them to, as your own personal goals. But I try really hard not to worry about the metrics as much as just the process to getting there. If it's that, you should be talking to this many people or submitting this many people, we're always using those to see what we can do and create relationships. I mean, that's really what I want. I want our people to have as many relationships as possible, and true relationships, Michael. Erin knows you and she knows a lot about you. And that's what we really like, is because when that job comes up, like I said, that culture piece is so important. If you're hitting all the marks for this client on that piece, the rest of it will take care of itself.
Absolutely. And that's the thing, they don't forget. And that's what I like. I like people that I can talk to, because the whole point of this is, again, engaging individuals, having good conversations, providing value on both sides of the table. At the end of the day, both getting what we want. That's the whole point of doing this. And it just can be done so much easier with the right individuals and just the right focus. So, Nathan, I appreciate it. You can find Nathan on LinkedIn, also online directly at ifusesolutions.net, or also with their company pages on Facebook and Twitter. Again, really appreciate your time and being a guest on the podcast, Nathan. So thank you very much.
Hey, been a blast. I appreciate it.
Thanks. Have your own recruiter or candidate story that you'd like to share with us? If you're listening on YouTube, comment below. Otherwise, feel free to email your experience to ask@recruitamentary.com. You can find our full conversation of this episode on YouTube at youtube.com/recruitamentary. Thanks for checking out this episode, and feel free to like, subscribe, and share the content. A Mike Tech Studios production.